What's happening, people? Welcome to this week's episode of It's All Blakademik with your host, myself, Jordan Jarrett-Bryan. Now, just before I get into our debate on our panel for this week, another reminder, usual reminder to all of our socials. If you're not following us already across our Facebook, across our Twitter, Instagram, please do so, as well as joining us on our channel here, Blakademik TV. Please subscribe to the channel and join in on the fun. Also, we're now a podcast. If podcasts are more your thing and you can access them better because you're in the gym or you're in the car, you're going to work on the tube, we are now on Acast. Download the Acast app and you can find us there. It's All Blakademik. Our show is there with extra content as well. And if you want to join in on the conversation, anything you hear that you want to discuss, you want to respond to, that you want to give an opinion on, please do so with our hashtag Blakademik. That's Blakademik with no C's. Blakademk. Blakademik, the hashtag. Right. This week on the show, I want to talk about black women doing bits in 2019. Now, I'm not young, but I'm not old either. Can I get away with saying bits?
Yeah.
Okay, bits. Just about. I'm on that borderline. Okay, so those that don't know, bits means doing very, very, very well. So I want to chat with some ladies here I've got with me on the panel about the successes and black women basically flying in 2019. To do so, I've got here Ray here, the host of literary podcast Mostly Lit. Hello. I've also got business lady here, Carice Hollett here, and I've also joined by Abi Mohammed, who's a software developer and engineer tester. Right, I will start with you, Ray. I'm coming to you first. Is my assertion that black women are excelling and doing so much better across not only society, but in various industries? Is that something that you recognize as well? And if so, why do you think that is?
To be honest, I don't think it's a new phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that black women have always been working hard.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always found innovative ways to survive, to cater to our loved ones, to be selfish and be very much independent. It's not a new phenomenon of 2018, 2019, but I do think now that we've had enough of being almost in the back successful. Now it's kind of like, these are my successes and I'm proud of them and the world should know, because a lot of the times as a young black girl, the one thing that you probably need to propel your interest when you're young or to ensure that you aim higher is the idea of representation and is the idea of being able to see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the times, because our successes are always sidelined, so are our ambitions, I suppose, especially when you're a young black girl. And so I do think that we're kind of changing that narrative now, and our successes are not new, they're just more vocalized.
I hear that. Carice, do you agree that it's maybe not anything new in terms of black women excelling across many different fields? It's not been just not recognized until maybe of late.
Yeah, I think we're in a day of social media, so it's just the exposure is bigger. So we're understanding and we're being told about more women doing more things in areas that we wouldn't normally know about, like engineering and coding, and all of this is becoming a lot more prevalent on Instagram, Twitter, things like that. I think women in general are doing incredible things in 2019. Black women especially. I mean, we've got the Red Table, Jada Pinkett, phenomenal, just allowing women to stand in their truth. You've got Shonda Rhimes. You've got...
Sorry, but we'll get there. Going back to Jada Pinkett, why is it so important that forum exists? Why is it important for black women that they have that space to be able to talk their truths and about their experiences?
Because I think it's... My mom's black, and it's always been taught, be quiet, move on, handle it. And I think the Red Table is so powerful because we're allowed to express how we feel, how we've been hurt, how we're healing, what we've done wrong, and with no judgment. That's why it's so powerful. And doing that allows women to grow and be more powerful and reach for their dreams and their goals without worrying about what other people think.
I wanted to steer this conversation, Abby, more in the kind of celebration of black women succeeding and less on the kind of difficulties and barriers that I'm sure black women do face. And we might develop that point a bit later on, but do you agree with the ladies that now we're in a time where black women are excelling because there are spaces and forums for women to talk about what they're doing and to do what they want to do as well?
I agree, because so I've been in the tech industry for a while, and ever since I've like embark on trying to find my own tribe and community, I've realized there are spaces where women are able to, you know, come together and collab. And I think with the power of social media, as you spoke, is allowed us like to amplify our voices. So we are our own cheerleaders within our communities, and we feel confident enough to showcase it. And I feel like that's created like a ripple effect where other people can see the successes, even though personally within the community it's not for clout. It's more about like, you know, having a safe space where you can talk about like, you know, difficulties and stuff like that. And then also like highlighting every time you succeed, tell your friends. Yeah. And then just finding that kind of like community. And I feel like now more people have been doing it. And then slowly the ecosystem is like became as one. So it's not just one little bubble, but every little bubble knows each other because people like connected, and you're able to amplify it, and you're able to see, as you said, like people's success stories, which made people more likely to, you know, oh, I can be an engineer because I can see it now visually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do agree with you with the idea of how the Red Table Talk, it being a space where you can be yourself authentically. Yeah. It's not enough to just be successful, but it's, I'm successful, but I can also be angry, I can be frightened, I can be hurt, I can exist in many different manifestations of who I am and still be successful. I can be hurt and still be successful. I could have gone through so much in life, and I could have overcome that. I could just be completely mediocre, but I succeeded in this thing. And I think that's really important, especially when I watch those videos. I'm like, oh my God, like these are just Black women.
I know.
And they're great.
I think what's important as well is that it kind of highlights to us that what we've gone through is normal. Like other women are going through that as well. I'm afraid to actually aspire to become what I think I know I can become. And other women feel that way as well, but I can still push forward and push through those fear barriers. Sometimes when people aren't talking, you feel as though you're the only one thinking or feeling a particular way, especially as a woman. So it's nice when you hear other women standing up and speaking. Yeah.
I cut you mid-flow when you were about to list off some people who you identify as succeeding. Sorry, I'll let you continue.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Shonda Rhimes, she is actually killing the game at the moment. I love her. Beyonce, Beychella, Lemonade. Come on, B is queen. Who else is there? We've got Michelle Obama. I mean, I don't know if you've read her book, Becoming. It is absolutely phenomenal. She is an all-round, amazing, phenomenal, multifaceted Black woman. She was the only first lady, in my opinion. What is she? A barrister? She's a cute. I don't know. She's a lawyer, isn't she? Who else is there that's killing the game at the moment?
Well, I've got a list of people that maybe aren't as high profile as the three that you've just named but I've got Anne-Marie Atherton, I've got Eunice. There you go. So she's killing it. Angela Marr, Diane Abbott in politics, Marilee Blackman, Dr. Shirley Thompson, Zadie Smith, Sharon White, Jessica Huey, Tapaniza Mwanga. There's so many Black women across multi-fields killing it and doing well. But when I say doing well, I think I know what I mean by doing well. What is doing well to you guys? When we say these women are doing well, what is the bar? What's the definition of what you say is doing well? Because having a job is not doing well. I'm talking about these are lady bosses now. Are these people that own things now? What's the bar of doing well?
I think for me, it's not really as much as having like fame in a particular thing. It's more about impact. And impact can be impacting a room, and it's just, I don't know if you know that Lady Gaga skit that's been going around, or, you know, if there's 100 people in the room and there's one person that believes in you. But it's kind of like this, it's going around. It's going around. I think you guys should go and watch it. But I do think it's about impact, and you can impact one person, and their whole life can change. And in a way, that is a success story. That is you almost being successful in a way. It could be 10, it could be loads, but I think it's about impact, and it's all about personal satisfaction. I don't think success necessarily needs to mirror everyone else's. It could be, what do I want to achieve in life? And that can be in any like sphere, whether it's personal, whether it's political, whether it's work related, whether it's extracurriculars, and putting out the steps in place to be able to achieve that goal, and then having that satisfaction that I was able to do that. And, you know, the whole idea of each one teach one. So you've done it. There's probably a young Black girl out there who also wants to do the same thing. So also going out into the world and being a place where being open enough so that people can approach you maybe, or you can approach people and share your story. And it doesn't have to be crazy big. It can be very small. So I do think success is very personal to each person.
I hear that.
Yeah.
What are is there a field or is there an area that any of you guys are noticing, in particular, Black women in the last couple of years have really been noticed, been recognized, really made growth? It could be politics, it could be media, it could be literacy, it could be business. It could be tech. Any area that you're thinking, I've noticed that particular area is where I'm seeing more and more Black women excelling? Is there a particular industry area?
I think writing.
Okay.
Yeah. That lady, she wrote The Hate U Give.
Angie Thomas.
Again, like I said, Shonda Rhimes. There's Zadie Smith.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of especially Black women writers weren't recognised for their phenomenal work that they do, and they're really coming up. And I think because of these big names, other young aspiring authors are coming up. One of my friends, you know, she's just been commissioned by Sky to write a series. So we're really seeing that other Black women have done it. We can do it too. So I'm seeing a big change in that. Female actresses. The lady in what's her name? Murder.
Oh, how to make
yeah,
get
what's
away
her
with
name?
murder,
Oh my
something?
gosh,
How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah, what's her name?
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis. And she was in Black Panther.
Yes.
She's coming up. We've got Tahaja. These are all women coming up in acting and writing.
Yeah.
There are other areas that I don't really know about, like coding, engineering.
In your field, are you seeing more Black women coming through and not only coming through, but leading?
Yeah. So, for example, like the person you mentioned, Anne-Marie, like I've followed her for like years. And then I feel like there's always been like Black coders, but then they've all been introvert and not being like allowed to, you know, say stuff and go forward. And especially women in my community, I'm really connected with like developers. And right now, like the latest list with Forbes, 30 under 30, 2 Black girls are on there.
Yeah.
So Simi and Nkike, yeah. So it's like we have females now being that narrative where you can physically see them and you can aspire to be them, and them telling you as well. Simi is from a more engineering background, so she is a coder, and then showing people you can look a certain way and still, you know, being able to code. And likewise with me, I look a certain way and people expect I can't code. And then Kike is showing people like you can be in non-technical roles as well.
When people react to you in that way, is that because you're a woman or because you're a Black woman?
It's several like levels. So I've been pushed down in my career several times because either not, for me, it's like, again, color does have some impact. So maybe like when I apply for jobs, I have my name as Mohammed. So it can inflict, like I've seen like me not getting that many roles or opportunities. But for me, the biggest barriers like is my age, because I look really young. Even though I'm not young, that I get that, you know, like, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing. Oh, this is a tag. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been coding since I was 15. So you should like, but yeah, it's like, but then again, now we are changing the narrative, especially like Black Twitter tech. It's been a massive movement.
I just heard about Black Twitter, now it's Black Twitter tech.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
My niece, she's 7 and she can code.
It should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing. And it's also what they're starting to teach in schools as well. That's broadening, that's opening up.
Yeah.
By the time this show comes out, we would have just missed Independent Women's Day. Got that right way around? Yeah. Do you feel that when these big female milestones across the year come out, Black women get the recognition and are celebrated as much as they should be? And if not,
By who?
by the media, by ourselves even? Do you think that when these days come around, Black women are in that conversation of women succeeding and doing well?
That's a difficult one, because you have men that say you've got Women's Day, Mother's Day. Mothers are always celebrated, you know. You always thank mothers, you always thank women. Do I think Black women are celebrated for their achievements as they should? No, I don't. I think we're getting there. I think it's starting to happen. But there is definitely, it's not as it should be,
Okay.
in my opinion.
I do think like there are like microcosms. So within our small communities, there is celebration, but mainstream media still has so much work to do.
Yeah.
But I do think that we're getting into that cusp of it's getting very, very, very hard to ignore us.
Yeah.
And so because it's very hard to ignore us, if you are ignoring us, it's intentional and we know it because there are so many Black women doing amazing things. And the great thing about social media is that it's not hidden anymore. And you do have those platforms who genuinely want to invest in the representation of these successful women, and those who might just pick one just to tick off their diversity quota and say, okay, we've got that coder, we've got that writer, that's enough. And some that completely don't because they're completely ruled by, their board meetings are filled with middle-class white men who don't understand where to look to even find Black women. And so I do think that we're getting near that cusp of we're doing great. It's very hard to ignore us.
Yeah.
So if you do, you kind of have a lot of work to do in your organisation.
I think as well, we're celebrating ourselves a lot more.
Yeah.
I think
I was going to ask, the fact that you're not celebrating, do you care?
that's the thing.
Do you really care?
Yeah.
Or maybe you do, but I'm just wondering if it's coming from within and you're celebrating each other, do you care that the mainstream doesn't acknowledge and celebrate you?
You get to the point in your life when actually, no, you don't. And you start to realise I have to celebrate myself regardless of if others recognise me or see me for what I've done or not. And when you start clapping for yourself, you do start to start a ripple and other people start to clap for you too. So, I mean, when you're just going back to one of your questions, what do you deem as successful? Just kind of being at one with yourself, accepting yourself first and foremost, that's success to me. And speaking to my sisters and my daughter and my friends, and when I hear them just saying, I'm happy, I'm at peace, for me, that's enough.
That's success.
Yeah.
We'll hear that. Let's talk money. So when the whole gender pay row kind of erupted 18 months or so ago, in the circles that I work in and people that I know, women obviously in particular, there was a lot of frustration about the gap in race, and that wasn't and still hasn't been fully addressed. Do you feel that Black women were fully engaged in that conversation of gender pay gap, or was it fronted by white women who were already maybe wealthy already? Did you feel included in that debate or represented in that debate?
I've always worked for large accountancy firms, and there's not many women of colour. I know that there was big discussions going on and I was not included in that. And when I was looking from the outside at these discussion groups, they were predominantly white women. So that didn't make sense to me. And obviously I had to let them know that how can you have a discussion when you don't even have somebody who you're discussing about? And they were open. They were open and said, you're absolutely right. Sometimes we have to speak up for ourselves. And I think that's what we're learning.
Yeah.
So at the risk of getting battered by the three of you here, is it maybe that Black people are just less good at making up noise than women?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was going to say, I agree with you. It's the fact that, when people talk about diversity, they just see gender and they just see white women against white men, and that's it. And it's the fact that we already have a narrative as, Black women, or as soon as we open our mouth, we sound aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not confident, you're more arrogant. And it's that narrative where we need to start changing. But then because people have been battered before, it's like people are not fighting for it anymore. And then you have the next generation where we fall in the trap where we're like, oh, okay, why aren't our peers, people that are higher up, talking? I'm screaming, I look crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's hard. It's because when you get to a particular point in your career, you don't want to make waves. You don't want to
rock the boat.
You don't want to rock the boat because you don't want to be seen as the aggressive Black woman. And as much as you want to stand out, you also want to fit in. So it's trying to gain this balance. But I think we're starting to realise, actually, I don't care if you think I'm an aggressive Black woman. Yeah. This is what I deserve. I have got the same the experience. I've got the same qualifications. I'm actually better qualified and more equipped to do this job with my male counterpart, pay me what I deserve. Pay me my money.
Give me my money.
Pay me my money. And I think we're starting to be unapologetically vocal about what we deserve.
I do think that when that gender pay gap, that data came out, I remember specifically being like, it wasn't something that I even thought to look at initially, because I do think that when we talk about women, or when society says, the society's idea of a woman is very much within the parameters of a white
Western,
a white middle class-ish woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what we need to do is change that identity to be able to, first of all, include all of us,
mm-hmm.
and include all the different like intersectionalities that we have. Because if I'm looking at data and thinking, does this even represent me? Why should it even be something that I'm concerned about? If I'm looking at data that's telling me, yeah, there's these amounts of, women in the boardroom of this company, and this is how much less they're getting paid, the one thing I'm going to ask is are any of them Black? No? Okay, so that's another aspect of me that is missing in there. Personally, for me, I'd also ask, are any of them Muslim? Do they have these different barriers as well that they have to possibly jump over? And so I do think that the woman definition needs to be all-encompassing, because I think there was even an intersection that talked about within that data about women of different races, but that was almost like an afterthought.
Yes,
a subcategory. It wasn't like
part of the main
yeah,
discussion,
like, oh my God, this is awful, guys, let's talk about this. It was, okay, well, white women are getting paid this much less. And I think that for me was something that I was really uncomfortable with that data.
I hear that. What about men? Do you guys feel that men have become almost allies in supporting and celebrating Black women's successes and wants and desires to do well? Or do you guys still feel there's a resistance amongst men to make sure that, we don't mind you guys doing well, but not better than me. You know what I mean? Do you feel that, what's the role that men play, do you feel, in Black women doing better and better?
I feel like, men are allies in my case, but I think maybe the complication is where the age range is. So people in my generation, so the people that I'm in, the ecosystem, female, male, even like different, we got different there's Black, there's white. It's like there's an array of people. We all feel like we're allies because we have the same mission.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in situations where like I've worked in a company and there's a male there and he's like, oh yeah, just be quiet. Or people do like, oh, you're young, and then you push you down. Oh yeah, then they realize, oh, I'm a little bit better than them. They're like, okay, we're just going to ignore her for a bit. She will get the point. She can go away. But yeah, it's about generation wise. I think the people my age are fine and they always will be allies. But again, it's all about like, passing that narrative back down so people can learn from it.
Do you agree? What's your experience of men seeing?
I don't know why I find it so funny.
I was wondering, do you feel that there's more and more men that are doing their bit to empower women as well? Or do you still feel some resistance from some men that you work with and that people in your circles?
I work with predominantly white males, and I feel a lot of resistance. If I am talking about my Black males outside of the working environment, so much love, so much positivity, so much support. If we move into a dating realm, if I may, I do find that they can be initially supportive at first. And then when they realize actually how well you are doing, the balance is a bit strange. But for me, unfortunately, I don't find that I get a lot of support from my male counterparts. I see it more as other women supporting me more than the men.
Okay.
I agree. I think in my work life, I'm a trainee solicitor, and I don't think that there is a lot of support there, mainly because, it is all white men that I work with. On the other side, when I'm doing the podcast and I'm also almost in the creative, Black creative sphere, loads of support from Black men. incredible. But then I also have to agree. I do think that when you move into personal relationships and domesticated successes, when your success is not just on the platform, but it's in the home and you can feel it. And that's when it becomes a bit more arduous, because now you have to deal with a successful woman day in, day out. And that can be a bit hard, but then it shouldn't be. And I think that's when men need to start unlearning biases and unlearning thoughts that they've been taught before. And this goes back to the whole idea of generational thinking, and how if how would your father have reacted to your mother being breadwinner of this home? And what are the things that maybe you've learned from that as a man? Can you accept a successful woman outside of the home? But if it's in your home, how does that fare on you? So yeah, I completely agree in that sense.
I hear that. I asked earlier on, what are the areas that you think Black women are particularly doing well in? What are the areas that you feel we need to see more Black women excelling? What are the fields where you feel we're still not seeing enough Black women owning, running, leading in that particular area? Is there an area? Maybe there isn't.
So
maybe you're everywhere.
I absolutely love Serena Williams, but I do think that in sport we need more Black women, because currently every time I'm thinking about sport, I think about Serena, Venus. There's another young Black girl that's come up in tennis, but I'm thinking about everywhere else, whether it's like football, basketball, hockey, all of these.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just because sports is just a male-dominated sphere. That obviously that needs to shift entirely. But yeah, I think I'd love to see more Black women in sport. Yeah,
that's fair. I agree with that.
I would love to see more Black women running schools.
Okay.
I'd love to see more Black women professors. I think a lot of us are going to uni. We're going on to do our masters. We're going on to do our PhDs. I don't believe there's enough representation of Black females in the universities. So I'd love to see more of those.
Politics?
Politics, yes.
Do we see enough Black women in politics?
No, absolutely not. The only person that comes to mind is Diane Abbott.
Dawn Butler.
There's not enough in the UK.
There's not.
There isn't enough in the UK. Why is that? Yeah, it's something that needs to be looked into.
I agree. Yourself, is there a particular area that you would like to see more?
So I want to see more Black women getting acquired and IPOing. So when you're starting a startup, I don't want to see the Mark Zuckerberg stories anymore. I want to see like people from councils and gone to public schools and have IPO'd big time. So I want to see it. We don't see it enough in the UK ecosystem. It's more in the US. So we see that there. And the reason being is like different shifts of how people get investment and stuff like that. So that needs to change. So there's different ways. We need to see more women in venture capital where they're investing in, Black entrepreneurs. And then we need to see those Black entrepreneurs actually IPOing like big time. So yeah.
And just to wrap up, I want a name from all three of you, a Black woman who you personally celebrate, love, aspire to be, but someone who's your go-to Black woman who's like, yeah, she's killing it.
I'm going to go first.
Go on.
Because I don't want no one to take it. And it's very obvious. Beyonce.
I love Beyonce.
It's my personal thing. It's
amazing.
just like, there's nobody else.
What is it about Beyonce that she's your go-to?
I think it's just her rate of hard work. Anything I think she puts out, it's meticulous. It is perfect to a T. And if she falls down, she gets right back up on that stage. I think even when I was watching Baychella, it was a 2 hour and something big performance. And she took a sip of water after an hour and a half of performing.
That's
sip.
Crazy.
And that was it. And then she continued.
I know. Get it done.
But I was like, this is incredible. I do think that, that is when I'm thinking of like my own success and where I want to have Beyonce's number on my phone.
That's a tick, fair enough. So do I, by the way, but that's ridiculous. Yourself?
It's got to be alive. It's got to be Oprah.
Okay.
Deceased, passed away, Maya Angelou. For me, those are two strong, powerful Black women who have gone through so much adversity, so much pain, and overcome it, and changing lives, are killing it, killed it. Spoke unapologetically, authentically, and it was their mission to help.
Brilliant.
That's beautiful for
It's a
me.
great shout. And finally, yourself, Abby.
So I would say, for me personally, and I would love to mimic her in the UK, is Arlen Hamilton. So she runs Backstage Capital. She's LGBT, Black, over 30, and she just like raised recently 36 mil. She invests 1 mil at a time in like Black companies, LGBT, female.
Wow.
So she is a big inspiration, because if she's able to do that in the US, remembering she's not the typical Silicon Valley type of investor. Her journey was amazing. She was homeless for a bit, and then she pursued saying like, I'm going to learn how to be an investor, and she did it. And then on my tech side, again, Dr. Anne-Marie, I love her.
I'm a big fan of hers as well.
I'm a big fan, because the thing is, first of all, she's killing it with STEMs and like encouraging, like increasing the tech pipeline that we need. But at the same time, she's being herself. So like I've had the opportunity to meet her and stuff, and she's like one of the girls. Like she's so like bubbly, funny, and she's normal.
Yeah.
But then she's helping us. Like it's amazing. So yeah, them two for me.
Good shouts. Lady, thanks for your time. That was brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Subscribe to the channel. Please do run all the socials, as I mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Subscribe to this channel, Blakademik TV. Just click the button, click it. And also on our podcast, find us on Acast. Download the app. Until next week, peace.